So 326-25. Sahasrashirasham Shirasam Sakshat Yam Anantam Prachakshate Sankarshanakhyam Purusham Bhutendriya Manomayam. The threefold Ahankara, the source of the gross elements, the senses and the mind, is identical with them because it is their cause. It is known by the name of Sankarshana, who is directly Lord Ananta with 1,000 heads. So Ahankara, so false ego, we are discussing that. The false ego in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So it's the so in the goodness in the mode of ignorance is the cause of the gross elements. False ego in the form of false ego in the mode of ignorance is the cause of gross elements. False ego in the mode of passion is the cause for the senses. Passion in the mode of goodness, false ego in the mode of goodness is the cause of the mind. So ahankara or false ego is the cause of the gross elements, senses and mind in tamoguna, rajoguna and satvaguna. So this false ego is also known as Sankarshana, who is directly Lord Ananta with 1,000 heads. So which is why if anybody is troubled too much by false ego, then we can pray to Lord Shiva, who is actually um who worships Sankarshana, or we can directly worship Sankarshana. Because Lord Shiva is a devotee also, so there will be more mercy. But yeah, we can worship Sankarshana. कर्तृत्वं करणत्वं च कार्यत्वं चेति लक्षणं शान्तघोरविमूढत्वम् इति वा स्याद् अहङ्कृतेः. This false ego is characterized as the doer, as an instrument, and as an effect. It is further characterized as serene, active, or dull according to how it is influenced by the modes of goodness, passion, ignorance. The false ego, um, so if false ego in the mode of goodness is called serene, false is serene. False ego in the mode of passion is active. False ego in the mode of ignorance is dull. False ego um, is also characterized as doer, instrument, and effect um, in the three modes. I think Prabhupada will explain that here. No. Ahankara or false ego is transformed into the demigods, the controlling directors of material affairs. So this is Ahankara in the mode of goodness. As an instrument, the false ego is represented as different senses and sense organs. So this is in the mode of passion. And as the result of the combination of the demigods and the senses, material objects are produced. In a material world, we are producing so many things, and this is called advancement of civilization. But factually, the advancement of civilization is a manifestation of false ego. By false ego, all material things are produced as objects of enjoyment. One has to cease increasing artificial necessities in the form of material objects. So please note these three things. Advancement of civilization is a manifestation of false ego. Manifestation of false ego means what? What does the statement mean? Advancement of civilization is a manifestation of false ego.
Pranam Prabhuji, the
Yeah,
more
Pranam.
we increase the like luxuries and the more sense gratificatory things we increase, we are entrapped in false ego.
Yeah, basically manifestation of false ego means whatever we are trying to do to gratify the body, gratify the senses. And what is the civilization? Advancement of civilization is mainly all these new discoveries, new things that are being produced. Like people are so intolerant now towards heat. I see like people are using personal fans, like that go to portable fans, which they keep around their face. It's like that. So it's an advancement of so-called advancement of civilization. Previously, nobody had some equipment like that. Now, what is that for? to give more pleasure to the body. So whatever is being discovered, etc., in terms of better, whatever machines, advanced uh, devices, etc., etc., are all just for to satisfy the false ego. That's all. Mm. And by false ego, all material things produced are produced as objects of sense gratification. Nothing is produced as service to Krishna. Everything is produced for sense gratification. One has to cease increasing artificial necessities in the form of material objects. So to keep our life simple means to reduce dependency on too many material objects. Our life should go on without dependency, too much dependency on material objects or on material people. As the life should go on, this dependency has to be cut as much as possible, as much as possible, right? Um, it's not like we cannot, and that is the reason why uh, devotee communities are very important. Because when devotees live in devotee communities, then they will generally there will be like peer pressure. If there are some good standards set, then everybody will reduce their dependency on material objects, material things in general. One great Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, has lamented that when one deviates from pure consciousness of Vasudeva, he becomes entangled in material activities. So the exact words he uses are Satsanga chadi kainu asate vilas te karane lagila ye karma bandhas. I have given up the pure status of consciousness because I wanted to enjoy in the temporary material manifestation. Therefore, I've been entangled in the network of actions and reactions. When one deviates from pure consciousness, one is entangled in material activities, and material activities means karma bandhana, right? Then we are caught up in this cycle of actions and reactions, network of actions and reactions. So, what should we do? We should try not to deviate from pure consciousness. Um, and everything around us is actually meant to deviate us from pure consciousness, right? uh, Material objects, situations, family, relations, money, even body, everything is actually just meant or is working to deviate us from this pure consciousness. And if when we get deviated from pure consciousness, what happens? We become entangled in material activity. And like I was saying yesterday somewhere, saying that sometimes people go to their relatives, or people go back uh, to their families if they are not in the same town, etc., holiday, summer holiday, etc., etc., and then consciousness just drops, um, because we start living their way of life, and we just deviate from pure consciousness in the name of relations with parents, relatives, etc. And yeah, then it takes us so much more time to actually come back to that consciousness again. The same thing, cycling uphill. Stop cycling, go down rapidly. Again, put lot of effort to come back to the same place. So, even if this kind of association or whatever happens once or twice a year, that's good enough to keep dragging us down. So we have to be very careful. We shouldn't do anything which is going to deviate us from pure consciousness, right? So all these so-called relations, etc., if they're pulling us down, then what is the point? What is the point? So we can satisfy them also for maybe short period, 2 3 days. If they want, then they should come in our environment, in our pure conscious environment, so that they can also get the pure consciousness instead of we going into their environment and getting contaminated consciousness. So we have to be very careful. That is why Prabhupada last few purports also is saying, be very careful about false ego. Don't be casual, because otherwise, again, yeah, coming back is tough effort.
Prabhuji,
Yeah,
sorry. What is the difference between ankara and self-respect, Prabhu? Because
ahankara is, yeah,
yes, many people, it's mera self-respect, that ego, like,
yeah, yeah. Self-respect is one of the aspects of ahankara. So
okay.
ahankara is all encompassing, right? It has so many facets. Ahankara is just centered around me, my body, and self-respect is one aspect of it, wherein like, yeah, whatever. I don't know what what exactly self-respect um, means. Does it mean that we give respect to ourselves? What does that mean? Right? I mean, whatever it is, it's just one facet of false ego, which is much much broader, right? False ego has multiple things in part of it. One of it is possibly whatever the self-respect.
No, Prabhu, like in family life, like the parent, like, you accept it, like you want it also, like, that's the respect is given, this thing, like, thoda bahut अहंकार
Respect, you're
से भी
saying
कुछ
like
सीखेगा.
others should respect you. That's what you're saying.
तो अब जैसे माँ बाप होते हैं और होते हैं थोड़ा सा, तो like, that is
Yeah.
also self अहंकार.
No, I mean, see, basically now if suppose there's somebody who's elder to us and we have to respect them, that's part of the social etiquette, right? Now that if we don't do things like this, then we will become animals, right? Which is what is the Western culture today, right? There is no respect in their as such in their society at all. So the Varnashram actually teaches some of these basic qualities so that actually people remain cultured as human beings. Only then spiritual culture, right? First is basic human culture. Actually, the other day I think somebody had sent long message by His Holiness Jaipatak Maharaj, which was actually just talking about this culture, this Vedic culture, which has so many facets. The Vedic culture actually helps us to just remain as human beings, right? And only after that we can develop spiritual consciousness. And one aspect of that Vedic culture is respecting elders, right? And of course, it also means respecting elders not just for their age, respecting
Yeah.
elders for their an understanding of Shastra, understanding of goal of life, ability to guide, etc. But even otherwise, Prabhupada also writes in Bhagavad Gita, one of the first chapter purports, he says, even if even if they are not qualified, still we should give respect. It's not like we might not listen to them, but we can still give respect and at least be cordial with them, courteous with them, etc. Yeah, so that's part of the Vedic culture. Yeah.
No, Prabhuji, many times in family life, knowingly somebody insults you. I mean, because of his financial position, or this thing, and he knows he's insulting you. Like, I mean, many times in life we do go through such situation. Well, we move away or we cut away. अपने अहंकार को, the false ego is pricked, na? You don't want to go back to him, or like somebody's rude to you.
Yeah.
That, like, now I'll give you an example. Like when we were building the temple, my husband and my sister-in-law's husband, like he had financed some part of he had given some part of the money on interest, and it was quite high, and we were not able to pay back. And my husband told him, I mean, the land is on my name, everything is on it. Just give me a little more time, like, and he's very very highly placed. Every phone call, everything, even to Madhusudan, I mean, hats off to him, like he used language was not, even to language, to him, language. And like every time you're pricking, you're getting pricked, and ultimately.
Prabhu, what happened? Then why he thought that way? Then he called his daughter stays in London. She was in India, my Bhanji, you can say. She called me. Mama, my father money, why you are not returning? I said, beta, it is not your concern. Your father, why getting insulted? And then I called disconnected and called my sister. I said, why is getting insulted? She played in my hand at Kenham like a child. Then he took phone from my sister and said, yes, I want to get insult you to give my money. Then, okay, I disconnected. I said, okay, this is the case. From now onwards, I won't speak to you, Kenan. Okay, we return his money from temple. Slowly, we return. But I was very angry because then Raka said, you don't interfere. Let me handle. Then in slowly 1 lakh, 2 lakh from my office we transfer, and that way Kenan, with something we cleared his amount. But I'm not in talking from after that. You can say ego or whatever, say insult or whatever is there. But I'm not in talking from last 3, 4, 5 years probably. So she's giving that example. It's a false ego, pride, or can insult or self-respect, whatever is there.
I think which is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that this verse has to be around our neck, like has to be always. It's very difficult. This is amanina manadena, but how easy is it to get there? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expects us to get there, to respect others even if they don't respect us. But it takes a lot of sadhana. We can get there only when actually we have no sense of false ego at all, meaning we don't think we are the body, because this insult, whatever comes, actually is just to the body, right? It's that person who's insulting doesn't even know that we are the Atma, neither does he know that he is the Atma, right? So it's a purely material dealing. It's a dealing purely on the material platform. Now, obviously, because we still have this sense of false ego. False ego simply means that we are connected to the body, not that ahankar, as in, like generally when we use the word ahankar, it's like somebody is very arrogant. I mean, we don't have to necessarily be arrogant, but because we are just still, not completely purified of material consciousness, we still somehow relate to whatever happens to our body, right? And that is the sense of false ego, because still that false ego is there. These things will happen, will get affected by what people are saying, etc. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expects us to raise above that, and that is part of our progress in Krishna consciousness, that eventually we have to get there. Eventually, whenever that is, right? Because without that, we can't go back to the spiritual world. At least at the time of death, it should go off. It's something, it has to go. But practically it's difficult, but required. Can't help it. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's requirement.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, generally, I have seen old people during and the deathbed, like in case of my grandmother, he was literally on the deathbed after the accident, fire accident. So she was asking forgiveness, people. I mean, at least at the time of death, they want to ask forgiveness if the person comes before. Is this kind of be forgiven?
No, I mean that person who is
after committing the when they are young, they have committed.
No, I'm not able to hear your voice is breaking, but if I understand the question or assuming what you are asking, your voice is breaking, Chiranjeev Prabhu. I can't understand, but whatever I have heard, broken. What I think you are asking is that person, deathbed, is asking for forgiveness from people whom he or she had whatever
Yes,
offended during their life. Is that is that okay? Is that the question? Okay. Anyway.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So it's really good, because somebody, at least at their deathbed, they are realizing their mistakes and they're asking for forgiveness. And generally, other people will forgive at that time. And so it's like prayashchita. So they will get rid of the sins that they committed against those people by actually asking for forgiveness. It's a very good thing. We should develop that before dying. We should develop that before we die. Anyway, it's a very difficult one. But yeah, sadhana bhakti can get us out. Okay. Vaikarikad vikurvana manastatvam ajayata yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam vartate kama sambhavaha. From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. So, this is why mind is very, very important. So, where we engage the mind, that influences the desire. So, mind has to be absorbed in Krishna, then we will develop desires in connection with Krishna. If mind is absorbed in material things, then we develop desire connected to material things. And normally mind engages based on the subject matter of Shravanam, on what we hear. So which is the reason why there's so much emphasis on right Shravanam. If you do the right kind of Shravanam, then mind will contemplate on the right kind of thoughts and will develop the right kind of desires. The symptoms of the mind are determination and rejection. Sankalpa, Vikalpa. This is Sankalpa and Vikalpa, rejection, which are due to different kinds of desires. We desire that which is favorable to our sense gratification, and we reject that which is not favorable to sense gratification. Material mind is not fixed, but the very same mind can be fixed when engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, as long as the mind is on the material platform, it is hovering, and all this rejection and acceptance is asat, temporary. It is stated that he whose mind is not fixed in Krishna consciousness must hover between acceptance and rejection. However advanced a man is in academic qualifications, as long as he is not fixed in Krishna consciousness, he will simply accept and reject and will never be able to fix his mind on a particular subject matter. It's so difficult to fix our mind on Krishna, right? So this is because of our just generally we are engaging so much with material things that mind continuously is having material thoughts, and which are resulting in material desires. Material desires are resulting in more material actions. More material actions means more material absorption, and this goes on. So one has to fix his mind not on material things but on Krishna, right? So which is why Manmana Bhava Madbhakto, Krishna says the mind has to be absorbed in Krishna. And again, same thing, Shravanam. The more we do Shravanam, the more we can fix our mind on Krishna. Let's see, subject of Krishna is by nature all attractive, because Krishna is all attractive. Everything about Krishna is all attractive. There's nothing you can read about Krishna or hear about Krishna which will make you go away from him, or yeah, I mean, in general, it's very easy to get attracted to Krishna. But it requires us to do some sadhana. We should do Shravanam. If we do Shravanam properly, then we will get attracted. So it is important for us to do appropriate Shravanam. And when we do Shravanam, we will get attracted by Krishna. And then our mind will be absorbed in Krishna, and that will give rise to more desires to serve Krishna. And that can help us to make progress. So, but the challenge for us is the amount of time we actually spend hearing about Krishna is very less compared to the amount of time we spend hearing about material things. So this is very, very important to note. And of course, I mean, the other challenge I'm seeing many devotees come and talk to me, and they say that previously I had I had a lot of attraction to Shravanam, hearing, chanting, etc. Now I'm losing it. If there is lack of If we are losing taste for bhakti, that is a result of offenses. So we have to be very careful. We discussed this in Madhurya Kadambini. Seva Aparad. Seva Aparad is the beginning. Seva Aparad has so many things, and if we are just ignoring Seva Aparad, for example, the other day, I was seeing some devotees eating in front of the Lord. Could be some prasadam, somebody gave some prasadam, eating in front of the Lord. It's a seva aparad. So please read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu for all the seva aparads. So we should not sit with our leg towards the deity. We should not sleep in the deity in the hall. We should not eat in front of the deity. We should not sleep in front of the deity. We should not speak loudly in front of the deity. We should not speak material things, gossip about others. So many things are there, right? So inside the hall, inside the temple hall, we should not do this. Now, if you keep ignoring these things, somebody is eating with the hand. Of course, now if in case even if somebody eats with the hand, nowadays the practice is to touch the food that is there in the hand to the mouth and eat. That is the pura contamination. You suppose somebody has to, like for example, even taking charnamrut, actually only 3 drops have to be taken. Or eating also, the hand with the food should not make contact with the mouth. You should like literally throw the food into the mouth and then still go and wash your hands. These things are all part of, that is why Vedic culture, people who know Vedic culture, they avoid all these devaprats. And if by chance say we eat and we don't wash our hands, and we offer flowers to the Lord, or we do something, anything else in connection with the deities, it's again compounded sevaparad. And when these kind of sevaparadas continue, it results in namaparad. When there is namaparad, eventually it will result in Vaishnavaparad, and then we will lose taste. We'll lose taste in Krishna consciousness. So we have to be very careful about some of these things, right? So we should never do anything which will, because it's very difficult to get this taste, right? Mind is already stuck with so many material things, and if by fortune, good fortune, we get taste for Krishna consciousness, we should definitely try to protect that taste and not do anything which is going to spoil that taste or destroy that taste. So we have to look out for all kinds of offenses, Seva-aparad, Nama-aparad, and Vaishnava-aparad, so that we can just protect that taste that we have developed in Krishna consciousness. So look out for the mind and topics that the mind gets absorbed in. Yeah, one more verse will do. Yad vidur hi anuruddhakyam rishikānām adhīsvaram sharadendīvarashyāmam samradhyam yogi bishanaihi. The mind of the living entity is known by the name Lord Aniruddha, supreme ruler of the senses. He possesses a bluish black form, resembling a lotus flower growing in the autumn. He is found slowly by the yogis. So Aniruddha is the master of the mind. System of yoga entails controlling the mind, and the lord of the mind is Aniruddha. It is said that Aniruddha is four-handed with Sudarshana Chakra, conch shell, club, and lotus flower. There are 24 forms of Vishnu, each differently named. Among these 24 forms, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Vasudeva are depicted very nicely in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it is stated that Aniruddha is worshipped by the yogis. Meditation upon voidness is a modern invention of the fertile brain of some speculator. Actually, the process of yoga meditation, as prescribed in this verse, should be fixed upon the form of Aniruddha. By meditating on Aniruddha, one can become free from the agitation of acceptance and rejection. When one's mind is fixed upon Aniruddha, one gradually becomes God realized. He approaches the pure status of Krishna consciousness, which is the ultimate goal of yoga. So we don't have to separately endeavor to do this. Our mind has to be fixed on the holy name, and subsequently it has to get fixed on the form of the Lord. Subsequently, it has to be fixed on the qualities of the Lord, and eventually the pastimes of the Lord. So our mind thus fixed automatically. So Aniruddha, mind is fixed on Aniruddha, because Aniruddha is just an expansion of Krishna. So we should basically, if somebody is serious about making progress in Krishna consciousness, put all your energy behind chanting. As much good chanting we can do, so much progress we will make. And because this whole chanting process is actually about this absorption of the mind on Krishna, starting with absorption of the mind in the sound, then in the form, then in the qualities, then in the pastimes, etc. So mind has to get fixed and absorbed, and in the process of remembrance, slowly we'll go into those stages. So engage. So focus on chanting. The more we can focus on chanting, the more we'll progress, because that is the way to achieve perfection. Shravanam is just to ensure that our chanting happens nicely. If we are not doing Shravanam, then we can be rest assured that our chanting will not be good. Right? And if we do Shravanam, it will just enhance our mood, our willingness to do good chanting. So it's very, very critical that one doesn't give up Shravanam. But the key process eventually to achieve love of Krishna is chanting. That we should understand. That is what our Gaudiya Acharyas have given. Okay, so with that, I'll stop here. Anybody has any questions, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So we'll close. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhudeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yesterday I was reading Prabhupada